Okay, well, I message him. I have it open on my phone, so we'll see if he responds.
Well, then we'll just get it started then.
Yeah.
I haven't even tweeted. Maybe we should tweet that we're live and stuff.
Maybe. I've been live for like 30 minutes, just chilling. I unboxed my new webcam, so I was showing chat that.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you see the Elgato drop from yesterday?
I saw parts of it.
Dude, they have so much stuff. It's crazy. Oh, hot. That was a hot face.
Thank you.
Like that picture I sent you of when we went out to the club that one night?
No.
Chat, my favorite thing to do is when I find really embarrassing pictures of my friends, is to just periodically send them over out of nowhere.
Don't make me bring the Monica.
Girl, that is sacred, and I can count on one hand the number of people who know about that. Okay.
Well, that's gonna be forever in my pocket then.
That is not stream appropriate. That is sacred.
I am going
to
tweet
sacred content.
Oh, that looks
terrible.
terrible.
They have a bunch of shit. They have like
okay, I need
a new mic arm that came out.
I need you to in 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna take a screen cap. Okay, so.
Oh, I was like 3, 2, 1. What? Okay.
Smile. Ready?
Where am I looking? I'm looking at the camera.
3, 2, 1. Okay, cute.
It's like, wait, what am I doing? Professional streamer.
Help!
It's us. We're so good at what we do.
We are so good at what we do.
Hi, Lance. It is currently 10:07.
Well, I guess we'll just get started. Okay, so do you want me to intro? Do you want to intro?
You can intro.
Okay. This is how we intro the Steph and Hayli show live now.
This is an intro.
Yeah, exactly. This is real life. You get behind the scenes content. You get, just real all the time. Never fake.
Are you still tweeting?
It takes me a second to type. Hey guys, good morning. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. I know we usually do the podcast on Thursdays, but if you guys weren't aware, Twitch is doing this really cool thing this month where they're featuring talk shows and podcasts. And so we were fortunate enough to be selected to represent the awesomeness of the category this month. As you can tell, we're really prepared. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. It is such a great feeling when the regulars who do show up for the podcast talk about how, just how they relate to what we're talking about and they look forward to it and all that stuff. It just is such a cool feeling. Hayli and I have been kind of like tossing around this idea for a very long time. It kind of was born out of a book club for our love of books, as was our friendship, and has kind of evolved into this word vomit of our lives and thoughts. So
word vomit. I love that. That should be like the subtitle of our podcast.
The Steph and Hayli show, word vomit.
It's true. Like if you have one phrase to describe your podcast, what is it? It's word vomit.
Exactly.
Yeah, that you're right though. Like that actually is such a good point, because when people message me either like in chat or on Instagram or anywhere, and they're like, hey, and they mention the podcast or like bringing it up, something relevant regarding it and how it's like affected them, I always get this warm fuzzy feeling. I'm
absolutely.
like, oh my God, you care. You care about our little show. That makes me so actually there was a girl who messaged me on Instagram, and she was like, hey, I was wondering if you and Steph have talked about this specific subject on your podcast regarding like parenting. And it was like, I think I have to go and look, but she was like, if you haven't yet, like, I'd be really interested to hear your take on it. And I was like, thank you.
We have takes now.
You care what we have to say. I'm honored. I'm so flattered.
It's true though.
Yeah. Because it's like you and I have great conversation. And so the fact that people agree with that and actively choose to participate in that makes me feel like maybe I'm not crazy.
Well, the cool thing is that it just almost validates. So like for a long time, Hayli and I, well, okay, first of all, we're hilarious, right? We have a great friendship, really and we love our conversations within our friend group and just between each other. And, we obviously make content separately on our own Twitch channel. So we were always like, why don't we do something together? I think it would be really cool. And I think we have like kind of a recipe for success because we're both really well spoken. We have a lot of ideas. We're very strong women, and we've bonded over parenting and books and all these other things. Like, and I think just having real talk on our channels over the years, we've seen, especially for me, I was surprised to see, I guess, how many people are parents and like, cause I don't know, for whatever reason, I've always stereotyped like Twitch chat as like teenage boys for the most part. And so for us, parenting was such a big life transition. And especially for our content and our channels, we were like, do we still have like relevance in this teenage boy dominant world as 30-year-old parents? And the surprising answer was yes. Like, a lot of people are parents, a lot of people have kids, a lot of people are interested in having kids or have nieces or nephews and whatever. And so it was, for me, really heartwarming to kind of feel like I still belonged on the space. And I think as a lot of these really successful streamers are kind of, continuing their lives, a lot of people have been doing this for like 5, 7, 10 years now. There's not a point where,
included.
where they're not going to start considering having a family and stuff like that. So you see, Tim the Tatman had a baby, and Lupo and Dr. Lupo and Mrs. Dr. Lupo have a kid. And so you're seeing a lot more parents on the platform. And that's really cool too. So a lot of our content is parent centric because that is top of mind for us right now. I have a 7-month-old baby. Hayli is pregnant with her second kid, and she has a toddler. So it's just impossible for us to go through a single day without having that be top of mind. So we do talk about parenthood a lot, but we also try to do like current events. Again, like I said earlier, the original podcast was kind of born from a book club. So one of our favorite podcasts that we've done so far, we actually had 2 authors on the show, and we interviewed them about their up and coming book that they just released this summer. And so it's kind of like a mishmash of everything. It's an amalgamation of our lives and thoughts. And like I said, it's kind of like a word vomit of everything. So
what would you say? Because it's funny you bring that up, because I feel like you just kind of hit the nail on the head as far as what my personal interests are. So on my Instagram, I have like 3 separate categories that I list in my bio of like what my content is related to.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's mom life, books, and lifestyle on Instagram. And so this podcast, I feel like, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Just exemplifies that. And we talk about all those things, right? We talk about parenthood, we talk about books, we talk about what we're doing in our day-to-day lives. And those are the things that I personally care about. And it's been interesting over the last, let's see, what year is it? 2021?
Wait,
7 years?
Let me count on my fingers really quick.
Had to think about it. 7 years I've been on Twitch, and how my content has evolved over those years. And like, there was a time where I would literally be streaming like 8+ hours every day and start at 8 p.m. and go till the sun came up. And that was like, and I was super nocturnal, and it was, those were really fun times.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like, no, the idea of that actually makes me feel like I want to break out in hives. Like, no thanks.
Really? A part of me misses it.
Here's the thing. I miss being able to do that, but the idea of my current life and starting my stream at 8 p.m. and going to bed when the sun comes up, when my toddler wakes up at 7 a.m., that makes me break out in hives. Like, the responsibilities that I have that no longer enable me to stream in that capacity are what gives me anxiety over that.
True.
But what's cool is just that, like, I think with Twitch especially, it's really easy to fall into like a niche with your content, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when all you stream is like one particular thing, if you do any kind of different content, a lot of those people tend to say, well, that's not what I'm here for, and then they leave. So it's really difficult a lot of times to build a community around your brand versus around a specific type of content. So whether you're doing a podcast, whether you're doing variety streams or like video games or whatever it is, because there's so many options on Twitch for different content, like, it's very easy to get stuck in a hole. If you're like, hey, I'm playing, GTA, for example, and I'm pulling a crazy amount of viewers, then all you stream is GTA because you're trying to get your viewership higher and higher. But then eventually you get burnt out and you're like, well, I want to do something different. And then it's kind of like, okay, well, a lot of people are like, well, I want to watch GTA, and so they leave. And so the reason I bring that up is I think you and I have done a really good job of like evolving our content with our lives and giving our viewers, like, because you and I have a really close-knit community, right? Like your people are like your people, and just like mine, my community is like my crew. And so giving them the opportunity to like be a part of our lives outside of just when we were grinding crazy hours in video games, and having that, I feel like we're very lucky because there's not a lot of streamers who I think can say the same.
Which is interesting because I actually had this conversation with Brennan not that long ago. I feel like the formula for Twitch, I don't know, 7 years ago, even on YouTube, is totally different than it was now, right? Back in the day, like let's say 10 years ago, right? It was all about your YouTube or your streaming crew, right? It was you plus 3, 5,
Squad.
whatever, 3 to 5 other people, 3 to 10 other people, however many people it was, that you showed up every single day. You streamed 10 plus hours. You played games together. You had like a repertoire, right? Everyone knew everyone in the crew. You had the funny guy. You had the guy who did the dumb shit. You had the whatever. And it was like this, like, you all kind of like came up together, right? And now you rarely see that anymore. Now you just have giant titans. You have big ass channels. And when they're not live, it trickles down to the smaller secondary channels, I feel like is kind of how it goes. Or you have the people like us who've been doing it for so long that you just like have the loyal homies who come to support you. I have people who are like, hey, Steph, I don't really watch your stream anymore, but I'll keep a tab open for you. And I'm like, thanks.
You
like,
real one.
Exactly.
You real one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like, you know, I'm really into like Valorant. You don't play Valorant. So, you know, I'm watching Valorant channels right now, but I really care about you as a person. And I know you're being a new mom and things are changing for you, but I just want to support you. I'll show up for that. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice. I appreciate that. But it does feel like people have either a game that they're really into. So say that they only watch shooters, right? So they'll watch their COD stream, and if Valorant's having a tournament, maybe they'll tune into that and whatever, but primarily they'll watch COD streamers. And so then they'll watch the number one guy on their list, their favorite streamers, probably, I don't know, like say Nick Merckx or whatever, and he's got 39,000 viewers, and then Nick Merckx gets off for the day, and then it's like you look at your follower list and you're like, okay, well, who am I going to pop in to see now? But it's like, it's more like, it feels more like almost like TV, like programmed, like the big channels are like programmed content, where it's like your viewing and consuming experience revolves around that one streamer that you really, really love, because it's not even just a streamer anymore. It's also the community that you're entrenched with right now. Twitch has really cultivated this culture with channel points and stuff like that, where the more you watch, the more currency you have to spend in the channel and all of that stuff. So it's interesting.
Do you feel like that's kind of where you're at this point, where you just have like a really solid dedicated community with your content? Because that's I feel like when you mentioned, you know, people who pop in who you don't see their names very often, but then they pop in and you're like, oh shit, that's a 4-year resub, right? I think those are those kind of people, right? Even if you don't, or even if they're lurkers, or you just don't see their names as often as you used to, like that to me is the most like flattering thing. The people who, even if they can't, but between like us and our schedules being crazy and not having the time to dedicate that we otherwise used to before, you know, small humans invaded our lives, you know, having those people who are like, hey, I still love to support you, and I love watching this evolution, and I still want to be a part of this community. Because I feel like community is different across every channel,
for sure,
right? Like if you go to a huge, you know, titan, as you said, streamer, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's a lot more challenging to build a community where people actually know each other on that level, unless you're like one of their mods, right? Because there's so many people. Like, how do you get to cultivate relationships when chat is moving a million miles a minute? Whereas I think with us, I love that I can see the same faces in chat when I'm live, right? I also love seeing new faces in chat. I'm like, hell yeah, welcome to the family, right? But it's very rewarding to see the relationships that people cultivate, not just with, me as the streamer, but also with each other. Like, I've seen a lot of that happen over the course of my career too, where people have like gotten to be really good friends, or like some of them have dated,
I have people that have gotten married, or exactly, have dated. One of my mods and one of my like longtime viewers started dating and moved in together, and it was like the cutest thing ever. There's been a bunch of that, so yeah, it is really cool to see. I will say there's definitely like this nucleus core, right? And then because I think my content's a little different than yours because I am still really into video games. I get really like obsessed with gaming still. So I always think, so right now it's Call of Duty multiplayer. I'm not even playing Warzone. I'm playing Call of Duty multiplayer. I'm really into it. I have like this whole goal where you can like grind for skins, and a lot of people really like that process, right? So I've been doing it for like a month now, and I do see people will come through for that content. So if I turn on Warzone, I have Warzone viewers who will come back to my channel and be like, oh, you're playing Warzone again. Yay, I'm so excited. I missed you playing this. Or I have people like, hey, are you going to hop into Destiny 2? Like, I really loved it when you were prepping for the raid and stuff like that. So I do have my nucleus core community who doesn't matter what I'm playing. They just want to come hang out. And then I have like branches of communities that will come based on the game I'm playing, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something that happens, like, because I'm the same way, right? Like, I love this right now because now that we're talking about how long we've been streaming, I'm getting people who are popping the, like, following command to see how long they've been following, and I'm, like, seeing all these people who've been following for 5 years and shit. I'm like, oh my god, I love you. But it's kind of like CSGO for me, right? That was the game. I played Counter-Strike exclusively for years. Like,
yeah, you did
a good 2 years. That was all I did was play CS:GO, and it was I still, like, even still my chat jokes about it, like, when you're playing Counter-Strike, I'm like, bro, don't tempt me, I'll play it right fucking now. Like, I love that game. And so I will find that when I'm doing this kind of content, there are specific people who are here that want to be a part of it, and they want to listen, they want to hear about whatever it is that we're discussing. But then if I even mention, hey, video games, then all these people will pop out of the woodwork and be like, video games? Excuse me?
Where?
You're here to play some CS? And I'm like, yeah. And so I think you're right. And the best part is being lucky enough to have people that will continue to support even when you're only doing one versus the other. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, because as a streamer, I don't expect people to watch every single stream. Right? I don't expect people to be here every single time I'm live. There's a lot of people on Twitch. My content is all over the place. Like, some people aren't going to be interested in all that. That's totally fine. But it makes me happy to know that whenever I do go back to the content they enjoy, they're still sticking around to be like, hell yeah, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
Like, what's up?
But it does feel to me, unless, like, okay, if one of the number one questions I always get when people come to stream, when we do like just chatting or something like that, is, hi, I'm a new streamer. Can you give me any tips or advice, right, to become successful? There is, like, the reality is it is such a mix of luck and blood, sweat, and tears. Like, it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of dedication, a lot of time involvement. But there is a rather large element of luck for you to just like blow up, right? But at the same time, it really does feel to me like I've been kind of like paying attention to the trends and stuff, that unless you have a very defined niche, whether it be game related or like personality content, you have like a very like sticky shtick that you do, right? Where it's like, I'm this, blah, 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 and, or like it might not be specific game, but it's like, I'm a cozy streamer and I play cozy games, and we sit here and we drink coffee and tea and we talk about stuff, right? So unless you have like a niche that you really like lean into, I really don't see people like exploding. That's the only way I really see explosion streams, where like someone had like 50 viewers, all of a sudden they're huge, right? They have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 viewers. Like, the only ever time I really see that anymore is if like you know, you get into GTA RP and you have a really good RP session and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, I know that character. I know that person. I'm going to watch them. Or you play in a COD tournament and you just like absolutely slay out and, you know, they're like, who's that person? I want to watch their stuff. And all of a sudden they're like massive, you know?
Yeah. And I think GTA is like kind of the perfect example too, because that's the one game I think on Twitch that is the exception to the rule, where you can explode no matter what if you get in the right circumstances. But that's the other thing.
Sure, but you have to stick with that.
So not only that, but also luck is involved in more than just like the discovery of your channel, right? Luck is involved in the connections that you make, right? So No Pixel, for instance. No Pixel is like impossible to get priority on, right? And so if you are lucky enough to get priority access, then you essentially have a free pass to get on whenever you want and not have to wait 6 to 8 hours to get into the server. And that's the biggest GTA server that there is, and everybody watches it. All the big streamers are on it. So like if you're lucky enough to get access to it, then like right off the bat you already have a leg up on everybody else who's doing GTA RP.
Can we pause for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
So we are not slotted for today, even though the website says today, all of that stuff. Our front page is on the 22nd and the 31st.
What?
Yeah.
Shut up.
No, I'm dead ass. July 22nd, 10 to 12. July 31st, 10 to 12.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at the website right now and it says July 16th, so that's funny.
I know it does. I even got an update because they originally had us for those dates. And then they changed it and they were like, "Hey, just letting you know, we've changed it, so I wanted you to know that this is what you're on now." So we're originally on the 22nd, then they bumped us to the 16th. Hold on. Yeah. He messaged me on the 30th and said, "Not sure if you've seen the doc, but there was one change to our schedule, and one of your front page times is going to be for a day later instead. You still have 2 time slots, though. Wanted to make sure you had a heads up."
I mean, realistically, it's not a big deal because it's like our normal time slot on a Thursday. It's just
Is it on a Thursday?
Yeah, the 22nd is a Thursday. I just am giggling because, you know, I was like, we're not on front page right now. We're not on front page.
Well, it just makes me, the thing that's frustrating to me is that like we literally changed our whole schedule to accommodate that. Yeah. And we told everybody and we like hyped it up and we like made it a whole thing.
Do you want to send him a very strongly worded email?
I mean, that's the thing. I'm grateful to be a part of it. Like, I'm excited that we had the opportunity to be on the front page, but like, it's just, otherwise, how would we have known? Literally, how would we have known?
I know.
Thank God the 20s. Thank God our first slot is after today, because if I'd found out it was actually 2 days ago, or
yeah, that would have been a problem.
Missed it, I would be really upset.
I agree. My manager's, he's very sorry.
Alex, right?
Yeah, he's the best. Yeah. But he's like, cool. I'm so sorry, dude. So, anyways,
let me talk to the manager. Yeah, if we'd missed it, I'd be a lot more upset. It's just
it's annoying. It's annoying, but it's not. Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
I know, but I know you want to go outside. Actually, give me a second. I'm gonna go let her out because just like.
Ooh, I get undivided stream attention.
Yeah, you do, girl.
Hey.
Way back chat. Nova.
Let's talk about life. Just kidding. Hi guys. So yeah, what we're talking about, recipe for success on stream. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm so not jaded, but I've been doing this for such a long time now and working on the other end of the fence, other side of the fence where, you know, I was trying to market Twitch channels from a business standpoint. It's just one of those things where you really do. It really is about like timing, luck. I will say probably the best formula, if I had to create a formula top of mind right now, I'm like pitch it to like a group of people from a business standpoint. I would say if you're trying to be if you're a new streamer and you're trying to like really like jump in and find success on your channel, what I would do is I would probably find a new game that's coming out that has a lot of hype around it, right? So say there is a new, I don't know, shooter that's going to break out and be super awesome, and there's no professionals yet, right? There's no pro players on this game. There's no pro scene. It's just a game coming out that everyone's pumped for, that no one has like a super big stake in. And I say that as a caveat because the big streamers will always get early access. But they're big, so whatever. Like you're not going to directly compete with them anyways. But what you're going to do is you're going to grind that game harder than anyone else, right? You're going to be the person who's always in the directory for that game when the big guys get off. And a lot of times that's how it happens. It's a trickle effect, like I mentioned earlier. So say Tim's playing whatever we're calling this game, XYZ, right? Comes out in 3 months, you set up your whole channel around it, right? You have sick ass alerts that are based off of it, overlays that's based off of it. You have all these like sticky things in your chat that you can spend channel points on that have to do with it. And when Tim gets off, 30,000 people are looking for someone else in that directory to watch continued content about that game. And there you are, sick as fuck, fucking doing cool ass shit surrounding it. And again, your shtick is sticky enough that people are like, wait, it's not just someone playing the game talking about it. There's all these ways I can participate. There's all these things I can do. And that's a really good way to kind of insert yourself into the conversation around that game and get people interested and dedicated to your channel. Just a thought.
I'm not growing on Twitch again.
Yeah. And that's true. Someone in chat mentions the other thing that you have to be really good at is multi-platform marketing, right? So you need to make a TikTok video of a highlight from that stream like as often as you can. The really funny moments, you make those into TikTok videos, into Instagram videos. You have a Instagram feed dedicated to it. You tweet about it. You interact with people that are on that hashtag. You interact with people that are talking about the same stuff that you're interested in and that you like revolve your channel around and all that stuff. It's just like this, everyone thinks that streaming is this like really easy job. Oh, you're just like a dumb gamer who sits in a chair and plays video games for 12 hours a day.
Dumb gamer.
How are you so dumb and making so much money? It doesn't even make sense. Go get a real job.
Stupid. Go get a real job. My favorite one. Go get a real job.
But the reality is it takes so, I mean, I think that's, I got really like kind of burnt out on this job, this career, like towards the end of my pregnancy and early on in having my kid, because like it really is such a 24-hour thing. It's not just you show up and you sit on in your gaming chair and you move your mouse around for a couple hours and then you like get off and then you have like free time for the rest of your life. Your whole life revolves around it. People, being an influencer means that people want to know what you're doing when you're sitting on the toilet and when you're in bed and when you're eating what you're eating and how you're eating it and what your car is. And like people for some reason really care about all that stuff, and it's like exhausting to share so much of your life 24/7, right? So it is it's huge draining. Commitment.
Yeah. And it's also just a big ask. Like there's not a whole, I mean, that's not to say there's not a lot of privacy because you choose what you share.
Right.
But the expectation, generally speaking, is people want to see as much content as you are willing to share.
I mean, look at Ludwig, right? His whole thing was stay with me 24/7, watch me sleep, watch me do this whole subathon, come
literally the Truman Show.
Live my life with me. And people ate it up. Like they loved it, right? Because there's just, that's just the type of content people are kind of consuming nowadays. Like right now we have streaming services that release entire seasons at once. So people are accustomed to this binge viewing situation, right? Where
Except
it's just
Plus.
Huh? Yeah.
Except
true.
for Disney Plus.
But Disney Plus, they're so big they don't have to conform. But I mean that's the preferred consumption method now. Is I want to sit down and I want to binge, right? I want to watch the whole season all at once. And then I want to go on social media and I want to talk to everyone about it. And it's kind of the same scenario on streaming, right? I want as a viewer, I want to watch 12 hours of your stream, and I want to talk to the people that I show up every day with, that I recognize their usernames and we're now friends and blah, blah, blah. And we talk about the same stuff, and we have all the same inside jokes, and we meme together, and lol, let's put these sound alerts on and like annoy the streamer together. And we spam shit that's so funny to us. And we have like quote, I don't know. It's just like this whole ecosystem that's been created, and it's kind of like the vein of it is definitely throughout mass consumption of social media and traditional media. It's not just isolated to Twitch anymore. So
right. And that's the kind of thing that makes it so much harder to do this job, is like that it didn't used to be that way. Like when we first started, it was literally what you described. It was like start your stream and play games for however long and then end your stream. And then, yeah, you could like tweet. But people weren't nearly as much as they are now having to use all these different platforms to showcase their stuff, right? I guess YouTube would be the other exception. Like a lot of people did both.
Right.
But now it does feel like a much bigger commitment in a lot of ways. And even more so than a traditional 9 to 5, because like, yeah, you're live for a certain amount of, even if for me, right? Like I don't usually stream more than 3 or 4 hours a day. And so it's easy to be like, oh, well, that's all you're doing. When in reality, it's like, no, I'm actually like, before I go live, I'm planning out my content for social media. I'm like trying to interact and record reels or whatever it is that I'm doing. It's like, there's a lot more to it than just pressing start stream.
Right.
And the nice thing that I think those other platforms have over Twitch as far as a benefit goes is that you don't have to be seated for a 4-hour block of time to do those things, right? Like I can find the gaps and in my schedule and be like, okay, like once baby's here, baby's napping, like I can go record stuff really quick. Or not that I would, I'd probably sleep, but like, you know what I mean? Like I'd find the time in my day to be like, okay, I can get this done. This is a 30-minute task or an hour-long task. Here's that hour where I can do it. Whereas streaming, it's like finding a 4-hour block, especially as a new parent, to just sit there and dedicate it to that. Even yesterday, right? Like I was telling chat earlier, we have a bunch of family coming in this weekend for Hazel's birthday and for the baby shower. And so there's still a ton I have to do, right? Like Melissa and Aria are staying in the nursery and it's like paint cans in the corner and like, it's just not at all ready for human habitation. So I have to like get that ready. Haven't done that yet. So yesterday I was like, babe, I have 2 options. I can either stream and then go get Hazel and like do our thing, or I can start getting everything ready for the weekend, right? Like I can go pick up the things I need to pick up and like clean the house and all that. And he was like, I think that's the play. And so it's tough, right? Because like then I'm in the position where I have to choose my job over real life obligations. And so luckily I was able to still post on social media throughout the day, because especially on like, Instagram and that kind of stuff, that's what people like to see on your stories, is like, what are you doing throughout the day? So it's not difficult to be like, okay, this is what I'm doing, or like, this is what my plan is for the day, and take people along with you so you're still present in the online vicinity.
But I think that's what defines, that's what like creates that pressure though that I was talking about earlier, right?
It's showing everything.
Yeah, and it's not, people are like, how is it just a job? Or like, how do you, get a real job? But the reality is like, you are on, because you're fitting in content when you have gaps of time, you end
You're
up
constantly working.
Yes, you end up at 7 a.m. You're like, okay, I'm posting a picture of me with my coffee. I'm saying good morning to my community. And then you're doing everything throughout the day. And so then you end up finding yourself, it's 9, 10, 11 p.m. at night, and you're still posting content. You're still doing this. There's no there's no clocking out. You are involving your community and your viewer throughout your whole day, every day. And that ends up, for me personally, when I am feeling in the mood for it, I can be a very extroverted person, right? I'm loud, I'm funny, I don't care about, like talking in front of people. I'm very comfortable doing all that. But the very real reality is until I did this job, I didn't realize how much of an introvert I also was, because I personally need time to turn off and not do all of that.
When is
Otherwise,
that
I
time
just
for you?
lose
Like, how do you
mind.
find that time for yourself?
Usually it's reading or watching a show or doing something like that. It's kind of how I turn my mind off.
But at the same time, you've been posting a lot about watching your shows and like doing you've been incorporating social media while you're doing those
But
things.
that's now because I haven't been streaming as much. I feel the pressure
Obligated?
to still, well, it's just like I need to work, right? Period. I still need to make money and do my job, and because I'm not finding it truly feasible to turn my stream on every day and dedicate hours into it with a 6-month, 7-month-old child. You know, I'm doing what you talked about, was I'm finding spots in the day where I do have time to still be present and still involve my community and still like not just kill all of my platforms. So it's a concerted effort what I'm doing now.
Do you still find it fulfilling?
I am finding it, I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I was. I was like dreading it. And again, I think the difference is I used to stream for not 5, not 8. I used to stream
Like
for like
10,
18 hours a day. Like between 10 and 12 was like my normal stream, and I would marathon for like up to 18 hours a day if I was like really into the content I was creating, right? And so for me, the stream was where all of my effort went into, because that's where all my time went into. So when I turned off my stream, I was done. Like I was never a big poster on social media. I was never really like one of those people that was like algorithm, blah, 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 really into like all of that. Like, I also hate being in front of a camera, which is so ironic considering what I do.
That's very ironic.
I don't like taking still photos because I think I look weird in pictures. But anyways, so I just was like, you know, I already did my job, right? And now that I'm not streaming for that long, I'm streaming for 3, like my normal stream is about 3 hours now. 4 hours is a really good long stream for me. 5, we're like marathoning, right? So for me, I'm realizing now that I need to be present elsewhere because I'm not providing as much content on my main channel. And so I guess my pivot was I'm starting to use like Instagram DMs and like reactions to stories and like that as like my chat room, as a way to communicate with people, and people are loving it. The feedback I'm getting is huge. People like are getting a more one-to-one conversation, and I guess, I mean, obviously it's more personal, so I think it's translating. The amount of times that I've put an Instagram story up, I'm like, hey, I'm streaming, if you're not going to be there, you guys smell, and then people all of a sudden will be in my chat and be like, I'm here because I don't want to smell, and I'm just like, oh, so there, it does translate, right? There is this cross platform ecosystem and community present, and so I just really needed to remind myself that I need to be better about that too. So it's hard though.
And I also think it's like I think that the equation for growing on social media is a lot more definitive than any equation of growing on Twitch. I don't think there is a mathematical 1 + 1 = this is how you blow up on Twitch equation.
Right.
It just doesn't exist.
No.
Right. And quite frankly, that's the case for all social media too, right? But I think that there's more information available to creators that allows people to understand, okay, if you do want to grow on a different platform, these are the tips to do it, right? Like that account you sent me, the marketing club one, I followed them. Oh my God. There are so many tips and tricks as far as just like Instagram stories or like, you know, reels or just random things I had no idea existed. That I'm like, oh my God, how did I not know about that? And so when you learn about that and hashtags and the algorithm and like trading engagement and all that stuff and how it can help boost you as a creator, like it really actually does make a difference. And so even now, if I go to like my insights, there was a long time where I wasn't really seeing in my notifications new followers, like on Instagram specifically. And now that I've started incorporating reels, for one, that's a big thing, but also just other aspects of interacting with other creators, I'm starting to see followers come in. And so the frustrating thing for me is like, because I originally started as a gaming creator who is very niche in like the male dominant space, and now I am very much not. Like I don't think you can get less like gamer male like centric than I am now as a mom. Like people unfollow, which makes sense. Like it's not surprising. It still sucks. Like I don't like seeing when I go to my total followers, I don't like seeing, oh, I'm down, you know, like right now over the last 7 days, I'm like minus 41 in following growth, because all these people are like, hey, well, this isn't the content I want to see anymore, so they unfollow. But then you look at the people who have followed and you're like, okay, but there's still a shit ton of those people too. So it's all about just like mitigating the people who are interested in being a part of the community. If they're not anymore, that's totally fine. I understand interests change. There are people that I used to be super into engaging with and watching and interacting with on Instagram that I'm just not anymore for various reasons. That's okay. But that's, I think, part of the challenge that we face is like constantly trying to evolve and like maintain our audience, and doing it in a way that is not where we have to like, where it's just constant like exhausting. Okay, like now what do I have to do? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because I think you eventually you hit a rhythm where when you start posting content, you start hitting the algorithm, you start getting on the explore page and that kind of stuff. It's a lot easier for people to find your content, but it's getting to that point. Similar to Twitch, like if you start growing your viewership and you're higher up on the, you know, following lists or just on the directory in general, it's easier for people to find your stream. And then as the higher you get, the easier and easier it is for people to find you. So I don't know. I just think that's just one of the many challenges that we face, is like having so much of what we do be out of our control. But at least outside of Twitch, we have more opportunities.
Which, that sentence is a perfect segue.
Oh, yeah. Into our actual topic.
Yes.
I forgot we had one of those today. Well, do we want to talk about this, or do we want to save it for Thursday now that we know our actual front page day? What do you think? Because there's some developments that are still underway that we may have more to talk about.
It's up to you. I don't mind either way.
Because like, okay, well, chat. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to hear more about these things we're talking about as far as like growth on Twitch, and like, is this stuff you're interested in? Because I feel like most people, generally speaking, have social media accounts, and you all are clearly on Twitch since you're watching this.
I will say, I think the Britney Spears thing would be an easy mass consumption conversation, because it is like more current eventy, but.
So like for front page stuff?
Yeah.
Balder, I love you. Thank you. That's fine. We can, I mean, it will continue to be relevant because it's a very important subject. Have you talked with your chat about it at all?
No, but I was going to say, I listened to her, the leaked
transcript.
The leaked, recording of her plead to the judge, and it's fucking heartbreaking. It is heart-wrenching to hear her say those things, and you can tell she's like fired up. It's hard because I feel like she's working against this image that I'm starting to question whether or not it was kind of intentionally cultivated for her to make her look crazy, right? That's the whole thing, right? Britney Spears, what was it? 2012? 2008? Was it 8? 2008.
2007.
Britney Spears went crazy, shaved her head, attacked a paparazzi with an umbrella. And that's the whole, like, you know, rhetoric that's been going on for she's been in the conservatorship for 13 years now. And the amount of control the people on her quote unquote team have over her life is outrageous. And so for me, like, I've always like, I don't know. I don't know how to say this. I'm not one to really care much for like big celebrity gossip and news, but I always did kind of look at her Instagram page and like some of her content and be like, oh, that's sad. Like, Britney's still not doing well, you know? And I'm wondering if now that I know more kind of about the situation, she's speaking up and stuff like that, if that's intentional. You know what I mean? Like, is it intentional to make her appear like she's not fit, right? Because that's the whole thing that keeps her in this conservatorship, is that we need to help Britney. You know, she's not okay, and we need to help her out because look at what she's doing with her life. And that to me is so scary. That's like such a like, it's one of those like Black Mirror things where you don't think it actually happens in real life, and then the whole conservatorship horror story comes out and you're like, oh my God, this is actually happening, where her father and her team put her on lithium. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's bonkers. But it was kind of sad that, I don't know, just like you could tell she was reading from a script or like a piece of paper, and it just, the times when she would like stumble or like misspeak or whatever, I'm just like, part of me was just like, no, Britney, you were on such a roll, and now it's gonna make you like, now it's like all about her appearance, right? Everyone's questioning her sanity, and that is, it's gotta be, I just want to say, I'm like, I commend her for being so brave, because it takes a lot of guts to like put yourself out there under this kind of scrutiny. But at the same time, like the fact that she has to even undergo that, and she says that a million times, she's like, I don't owe it to anyone to be reevaluated. I have done enough. And I think that's really true.
Well, and I also think that it really puts a spot, like Kat Jesus said it perfect. It really puts a spotlight on conservatorships in general, and like what their intention was, like what their initial purpose was upon their creation, for one thing, but also the way that conservatorship is likely abused in many circumstances. And, you know, Britney's case really puts a spotlight on it, on how a lot of people can be taken advantage of if it's framed the right way, and how easy it is to abuse it, right? And so it's devastating. I mean, even just, I don't know if you saw this, but Wednesday, she officially won the right to choose her own counsel. Like, that was a huge win for her, to be able to pick her own fucking lawyer.
13 years later. 13 years. That's how old half of you in chat are. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's most of her adult life was controlled by people that she didn't even get a say in controlling her life. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't understand how, with the amount of power conservatorships have over someone's well-being in life, how there isn't like a clause or like a law that says conservatorships need to be revisited and reevaluated once a year. I feel like that's how it should be, period. Once a year, you know, sit down with the person in question and team in question, and like have a judge say everything's like, if the person's like, I'm happy, and the team's like, I'm happy, then great, move on. But if one person's like, no, we're really concerned, and give the person in under the conservatorship at least the opportunity to say that, I feel like that needs to happen, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what you would think. But the fact that she was brainwashed to not even know that she could get out of her conservatorship
or petition,
like, she just figured it was a lifelong thing. And how does her own fucking counsel not tell her, hey, if you do want to get out of this, you can? But then, did you watch the New York Times documentary?
I started it, but I haven't finished it.
So, ironically, her dad's lawyer, one of the lawyers on his team, is in that video, is in the documentary. And they ask, the interviews ask her, have you ever seen a conservatorship that is actually someone actually successfully removed themselves from it? And she said no.
But I mean, that's not even what yes, she is ultimately saying, I don't need this anymore. But I think step one, she's just like, let me get out from under my dad's thumb. Like, let me choose a different, like an unbiased team, like a team that has, you know, not a personal stake in my money. You know what I mean? He pays.
And that's the crazy thing, is she's paying for all of it. She's literally bankrolling the whole thing.
Jamie Spears, what's his name? Jamie Spears? Jamie Spears gets paid $16,000 a month salary, not on top of like all the other like quote unquote living expenses and stuff like that to be the conservator. He gets a salary.
She's bankrolling the whole show. Lawyer fees, court
therapist fees,
paying the conservator, paying the whole
Did you hear
team,
her
all the
interview?
doctors.
She had to pay out of pocket $60,000 a day or something like that to go to was a month
for the
Westlake
yeah
therapy. They were like you're not cooperating because she didn't want to do a dance move. She didn't want to do a single one dance move in her choreography for her Vegas show. She's like, no, this move, I don't like it. I want to switch it up. They pulled aside the whole team, did a 45-minute meeting, and her manager called her therapist and said, Britney Spears is really acting out. She's no longer cooperating. And so they sent her away, and she had to pay $60,000 a month out of pocket to be under 24-hour supervision where she couldn't like get undressed without having someone in the room with her and like all this stuff. And she bankrolled it for people to like
take advantage of her and abuse her. And yes,
believable.
That's like that's the kicker for me is the side. Not only is all of this happening to her unacceptable and abusive and wrong in every circumstance, but the fact that she is paying for all of it, it drives me nuts. And so it's like and then this whole movement, right? The Free Britney movement that's been happening for years now, and the supporters of it, a lot of people are like, you guys are crazy, you guys are bonkers, like she clearly needs help, you guys are all, it's almost like conspiracy theories, right?
Right.
And then
I mean that whole
there's
like
validity to it.
The whole the kid with under the blanket who's like bawling and says like
Leave
free
Britney alone.
Yeah.
Classic.
But it was a meme, right? It was like this ha ha Britney Spears is fine.
Like, actually,
yeah. Exactly.
People laughed at that video for years. They laughed at it. And I remember his name. His name's Chris Crocker. He went full on viral famous because of that video.
Yep. But people like just rolled their eyes, and it was like, again, it was a meme. It wasn't like no one was like Britney Spears.
And it shows how easy it is to dismiss people who are seen as crazy or whatever.
Well, I think people
purely
also
because they're just done. Like what she did, and that's the thing is like the things that she did are not the whole world made the perspective, oh, she's crazy for doing those things. But it's like, you know what? I can count on two hands the amount of female friends I have who have shaved their head in the last 6 months.
But not even that.
Like
it's the whole thing where women aren't valued, and the fact that we have babies and postpartum depression is a real ass fucking thing, and very few people take it as seriously as it should be taken. I don't get it. It's heartbreaking.
And that's what the new, like, if you finish, I think you should go finish the documentary before we like, because I do want to talk about this next week as well. I think you should go back and watch it so you can get the full scope of things, because it really focuses on how like all of society changed the narrative around what Britney was going through, and how the New York Times really opens it up to, okay, but this is actually what was going on behind the scenes, right? How like she couldn't see her kids. She was like in this whole custody battle. Like she had a bunch of people who were all at the same time trying to take advantage of her. The paparazzi were quite literally like borderline stalking her and would not leave her alone. And so she finally was just like, I'm done. I'm done with all of this. Like, none of this behavior is okay. I'm not accepting of it. And I think that we as women are just trained and conditioned to accept shitty behavior from men. Like, we just are. And the whole mentality is just keep your chin up and take the high road and walk away and ignore it. It's like, no, we shouldn't have to just ignore people and like people continue to behave that way and give them a pass. And so like looking back on it, Britney absolutely should have told those guys to fuck off. 100%. Like I would, if I had been followed and stalked to the point where she was with the paparazzi, I would have taken an umbrella to their car too and been like, leave me the fuck alone. Because it's just, I cannot understand. I cannot ever like relate to what she must have been going through at that point where she just could not get away from anybody and was just constantly stalked. And then you see the headlines and what they're saying about her and how they're twisting, and
of course
the power that journalism has in that sense, where they can just
because
paint
those
whatever narrative they want.
sensationalized headlines are what sells whatever, right? No one wants to hear, oh, Britney Spears has postpartum depression and, you know, is going through some mental illness right now and we need to support her. It's, oh my God, Britney Spears goes crazy. And people are like, what? You know, because then that's the other thing. It was such a huge turn from her, like, created image where she was this squeaky clean Mouseketeer who turned global pop star with all her like very like, you know, poppy upbeat music and stuff like that, and all of a sudden it's like, no, she's a real person going through real shit, right? And someone in chat says it too. It reminds me of like the Amanda Bynes thing, and like, you know, it's just, you see a lot of.
I think Amanda Bynes deserves her own documentary because I feel like she probably has a lot to say too.
Absolutely, but it's people going through real shit who might have, you know, either pre-existing conditions or they develop traumas or do they develop whatever going on in their lives, and then it's because they're celebrities, there is this added, you know, like, it's like everything is exponentially bigger, right? Yeah. And all of your fears and your dirty laundry or your whatever is judged by so many people. It just blows up, and it's like, you know, if you're depressed and you're sad about something and you have like 3 people that you're talking to about it, it's a lot easier to manage those feelings than if you have 5 million people telling you that you're a, you know, crazy person, it's, you know, it's obvious.
And especially like in Britney's position, I imagine when you're told that many times, you're crazy, you probably start to believe it.
Oh,
like, I'm sure for a long time she felt, I'm crazy, I need help, this isn't okay, and started to believe, just as we all do when society tells us something, those things about herself. And then it's not even just in the tabloids, but it's in like advertisements and in pop culture and in the media, and how we are designed to view ourselves, right? Even when it comes to like the clothes that we buy or the music that we listen to or the food that we eat and how it affects our body, like that's all designed for society to say, this is what is expected of you, and if you're not meeting these standards, whatever they are, physically, emotionally, mentally, you name it, there's something wrong with you. You're too this, you're not enough this, or you're crazy, or you're not, the list goes on, right? And so it kind of shapes the perspective of like, yeah, it's very easy to just believe what society tells you because everyone's saying it. And so for Britney, what did everyone say? I literally remember the day she shaved her head. I was sleeping over at a friend's house and it was like 8 a.m. and she came and woke me up and was like, Britney Spears shaved her head. And I was like, no way. Like I was shocked because I was always a huge Britney Spears fan. Like I went to her concerts, I had her music. I mean, we all were. Still to this day. Oh, of course. And I remember thinking to myself, like, she's clearly not okay because that's what society is telling me. And of course she wasn't okay, right? She was fucking pissed. But in my head, I was like, if Britney Spears, I had this exact thought. I was like, if Britney Spears does not survive this, like I would be devastated for her. Like that would break my heart as a fan, just because I love her. I wanted her to be okay. And so the conservatorship was very much like a, you know, I guess it was Showcase's way of, hey, Britney's family's stepping in, they're gonna take care of her, they're gonna help.
Right.
And
we all thought it was a good thing in the beginning.
Yeah, everybody was like, okay, good, Britney's getting the help that she needs. And in reality, it's like, well, actually, that's not really the case. And it definitely shapes the perspective of how even people you don't necessarily expect to take advantage of you can just come in from, like, her own family, dude.
I know.
Who can she trust if not her own family?
Well, what's crazy to me is how much value, how much weight society puts on hair. Isn't that crazy? Like, girl shaved her head. She didn't like blow up a building. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like it's so crazy to me how much a woman's worth really is kind of tied to her hair. So
can I give you the perfect example of that?
Sure.
Actually, do you know Anissa? Mm-mm. She's a streamer on Twitch. She just got married to iDubbbz. I don't know if you know.
I know of the names, but I don't know.
Yeah. So Anissa Jomha is her name. She used to be Rainbow Kids on Twitch. So anyway, she's a good friend of mine, and she has just been living her best life, right? Like, so she and Ian have been dating for years. And they just randomly, like, not randomly, but a couple weeks ago, straight up went to Vegas and got married and had Elvis officiate and everything. And she was talking on her Instagram. She's like, I really want to shave my head. She's wanted to shave her head for forever. And she did it. And she looks amazing. Like, she actually, like, I think there are certain people who just especially look really amazing with a shaved head. It's amazing. Like Bloody Faster. Oh my God. Like, her face, her bone struck. Anyway, so she posted on her Instagram stories afterwards screenshots of what people were saying about her when she posted the photos of her shaved head. And I wanted to bleach my eyes out. I was, let me see if I can find it. I was just so overwhelmed. It's gone from her stories right now, but I replied to her and I said that. I was like, I literally want to pour bleach into my eyes reading this. And she replied and she goes, the amount of nasty things being said.
But it's true.
Because
it's true. It's like the amount of like, you're no longer a woman, or you must be, you know, gay, or you must be this, or you must be that, or like the expectation that when you go through a breakup because you are so sad and no longer like who you were and you're such an emotional creature that you need to go cut all your hair off. And like it's always been so fascinating to me how much value of a woman is placed on her hair, and how a lot of dudes, not all dudes obviously, I feel like I don't need to caveat that, but I'm going to anyways, are like, you are like, women are so beautiful and female and feminine when they have long, gorgeous, like flowing hair. And I mean, I'm one who's cut my hair. I cut my hair. My hair's been a million colors, whatever. But the amount of time I have people saying, and again, my haircut is not as extreme as shaving my head by any means. Oh my gosh, you looked so much better with long hair.
Really?
Constantly. Oh my gosh, why would you do that? Like, just stuff like that. It's just so weird to me. And someone in your chat goes, nobody tied value to hair. It was just the extremely unusual impulsive shave that was unusual. No, I challenge you to think of Britney Spears, dolled up, looking great, long hair, doing the same thing, and then being photographed afterwards looking like traditional Britney Spears. People would have gone over it 10 times. People would have gone over it. It would have been like,
wow, what a
she just
statement.
had exactly. She just had a moment, right? But like, shaving the head, it was like, it was the headline. Every single picture is just like her crying with her shaved head and like talking about it. Like, I went back and looked at a lot of tabloids, and like, that is what is highlighted more than anything. Less so about the umbrella and more so, oh my God, you know, this is the end. You know, this is it, because her hair is gone. It's just crazy to me. Crazy how much value is placed in hair. It's insane.
But also, like, I try, it's funny you mention that, because I feel like it's not even just, you know, like men who do it towards women. I think like women do too. So for instance,
sure.
I have never cut Hazel's hair. I love her hair. It's so beautiful. And I like don't even want to touch it, right? But somehow we got onto the conversation the other day about cutting hair. And we were talking about how daddy has short hair and mommy has long hair. And she was like, well, why? And daddy's like, I just like my hair short. And I was like, yeah, and I like my hair long, but I'll probably cut mine soon. Like, after baby brother is born, like, I'll probably cut mine. And she was like, I want to cut my hair. And in my head, or in my heart, I was like, oof. Like, no, I love your hair. It's so beautiful. Like, I don't want to cut it and leave it alone, right? But in reality, then I'm like, why? Like, it's getting really long. If she wants to cut it, she can cut it. You know, if it's easier to make, even Rick has such a hard time doing her hair right now because it's so long. And I think that's a bad excuse. But, like, if that's what she wants to do, it's her body and she can do whatever else she wants. And so it's taking me the, like, initial overcoming of, like, okay, if that's what she wants to do. Even me as a child, I distinctly remember the first time, I've always had long hair my whole life. Like, literally from childhood, it's always been very, very long. I wanted to cut my hair really bad. And I was probably, like, 8 or 9, I would guess. And my mom literally would not let me cut it how short I wanted to cut it. She made me keep it a certain length. And I was so mad. I'm like, I want to cut my hair. I want to make it short. and she just flat out would not let me do it. And it just makes me wonder, like, why? Like, why not? It was my body, it was my hair, and it was my choice, but she wouldn't let me have that control over it. And I distinctly remember that moment. And so I feel like it circles back to what you were saying about how we put so much value on, especially women, on our hair without even really recognizing it. And I just wonder why that is. Like, I don't know what got us to that point where we decided that hair had this like specific value to us and our like femininity, if you will.
But that's what I mean. Like, I feel like society feels like if you shave your head, you take away your femininity. But the reality is the women who choose to have their look revolve around that, I feel like are ultra feminine. Like, to be able to pull off a shaved head with like that is the ultimate statement of embracing your just complete face and body and everything, because that becomes the focal point for emphasizing everything else. You can't hide behind your beautiful hair, right? It's just like everything else is brought to the forefront. So you're really embracing all of you in an even bigger way. At least that's how I see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Potato Guzzler says you're placing the value on her hair for some strange reason. Britney was experiencing a mental breakdown, and the hair cutting was a big visual of that evidence of that breakdown. Like, I don't think Britney had a mental breakdown. I think she was just done. Like, when you have that much, when society is treating you the way that she was being treated by like literally everybody, like if that's what she wanted to do and she felt free, like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Emma Watson, right? Emma Watson, when she'd been Hermione Granger for like 10 years and had to have her hair long. The first thing she did when that movie was over, literally, was she went and cut off all her hair. And she went and did like a full-on pixie cut. And so if you look at the final premiere, the movie premiere of Deathly Hallows Part 2, she's rocking the most incredible pixie cut. And so it's like when people get to a certain point where they're just like, I'm done and I want to change and I want some control over my own body, that's what she did. I think Britney felt very out of control in her life. She didn't have access to her kids. She was being stalked by the paparazzi. She was in like full-on like divorce situation with her ex-husband. Like, there was so much going on that if the one thing she could control was shaving her head, then so freaking be it.
I think you're
you know
also,
what I mean? That's not evidence of a mental breakdown.
Well, no, but not even that. I think you're literally missing the point. It should not be a visual representation of what she's going through, though.
Yeah.
Cutting your hair is not indicative of your mental well-being, and the fact that you're bridging that is the problem, right? Yeah, shaving your head does not mean you're not feminine. Shaving your head does not mean that you're crazy. Shaving your head does not mean anything other than the fact that you wanted to shave your head. Period. Right?
Yep. It shouldn't be like used as a symbol of,
oh, look, she shaved her head, she's crazy, right? It just, yeah. Anyways.
You're right. I 100% agree. I think it's about how, and that's what these conversations are for, is to help like shape our perspective and understand like, okay, this is what we've been told. This is what everyone expects and says, okay, this is what this means. When you do this is what that means. And it's reality. It's like people are going to do whatever the hell they want to do. They're going to make their own choices. And we shouldn't automatically stereotype them for the choices that they make. Doesn't mean that they're crazy. Like, I don't know. I think that's a goal that we, like, there's a lot we have to overcome as far as, like, what we associate with, like, proper femininity in society. It's fucking stupid. I don't know. It bothers me that we still tend to look back on that moment as, like, the defining moment of her losing her mind.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think that's what happened. And I feel awful that she was put in. And, you know, it's seeing all her, like, celebrity friends, too, coming out and being like, I wish I'd been there for Britney. Like, she's gone through so much. I wish that, like, she's so strong. She doesn't deserve this. The last however many years are clearly unacceptable and abusive. And so it's, like, not just us who are seeing it, but all the people in her circle who are seeing, even Justin Timberlake. Did you see what he said about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could have a whole other conversation about Justin Timberlake and how his role was in that. But, you know, we just all are expected to behave one way, and we are slowly starting to shift our perspective on it. Better late than never, I guess.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
so
yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited that she is finally gaining the traction in her case where people are witnessing it and people are supporting her, and she will hopefully be able to live her own life and take her IUD out and have a baby and drive in her boyfriend's car and get married and do all these things that she was unable to do because of her conservatorship. So I'm hoping this new lawyer will help her.
Imagine other people having that much control over your life. That's crazy.
Abuse.
And you paying them.
Yep.
To do
the
it.
Medication stuff is really, really
scary.
Crazy
That's
too.
really scary.
So here's what I'm thinking. Because we are not on the front page like we expected to be, are you cool if we wrap a little early since Alyssa and Aria just got here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I do think there's a lot we could still talk about, especially now that the case is kind of like picking back up.
Well, and we can just be a little more, I think, organized. We'll have
intent. Yeah.
Intentional. Yeah. We'll have like, questions and topics, and I think we can direct the conversation a little bit better.
Did Alex say what time on the 22nd?
10 to 12.
Okay, so it's the same. Yeah, so if you guys were wondering, we were supposed to be on the front page today, and nobody told us, but they apparently moved our time slots next week. So it is what it is. But yeah, the 22nd and the 31st, we will have our front page slots. So it's next week and the following week. And we'll be able to talk more about this and other things. So if you guys also chat, if you guys have anything that you would like to discuss or like for us to discuss on the podcast, please feel free to give us a shout. Like you can either, message one of us on Discord or just post it. I have a section in my Discord called Stream Ideas where people can pitch ideas that we talk about on stream. So if there's anything in particular like, oh, Steph and Hayli would do a great job talking about that, please feel free to share.
Yeah.
We're always open to ideas. But yeah, I was telling them how it's going to be a very busy weekend for both of us. I've hijacked Steph's weekend, everybody.
Yeah. This weekend's going to be nuts. I'm kind of overwhelmed, but Lexi's been coaching me through it. So
really, just know I will be so excited and happy and obsessed no matter what. I'm so excited. I know it's going to be good. So if you guys didn't know, Hazel's birthday party is tomorrow. And my baby shower, which Steph and Lexi are throwing, is on Sunday. So it's going to be a very, very busy, but very fun weekend.
Super busy.
So I personally will not be live this weekend, but I will document all the fun
on Instagram.
On Instagram. Please, Chad, do us a favor. Everybody go follow Steph and myself on Instagram. I'm trying to be better about call to actions. To be solid. go follow Steph at FemSteph. Wait, your camera's right here. Go follow Steph, and then go follow me at Hayli Nick. You can see our tags literally
underneath us,
right here. Yeah. So you can come hang out and catch up with all the fun. So, all right, my love, are you gonna stay on for a bit?
I'm gonna run downstairs and talk to Brennan, but I'll probably still be live.
Okay, I will host you then.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Yeah.
I will
text me
I'll
later.
text you later. Yeah. What do you have plans later? Are you doing stuff?
Honestly, probably just prepping for Sunday, stuff like that.
Okay. I was gonna say Alyssa's here, so I don't know if we wanted to do dinner or something, but I'll text you.
Yeah, text me. We'll figure it out.
Okay, love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.